The Rams need to fix this in order to beat the Bucs on Sunday Night Football. This is the key to opening up the offense, as well as more keys to victory for the Rams on both sides of the ball, and injury updates heading into this one on Sunday night. All that and more on this episode of Rams Digest, and welcome back to another episode of Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Finehirsh. And before we get into this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 5K, 5,000 subscribers. Josh and I believe we can get there by the end of the calendar year 2025. We're 240 away right now, so make sure to hit that sub button and click the notification bell and click all so you get notified and never miss whenever we post our daily new Rams Digest video content pieces covering all things Rams, so you do not miss a beat this NFL season. Leave a like on this video right now. Week 9 in the books. The Texans upsetting the Bills 23-19 in defensive clinic put on there last night. So an interesting start to the week already. And leave a like on this video right now for the stream coming Sunday. I'm still trying to figure out whether I'm going to do it or not. Tomorrow I am going to have my decision in that video, so make sure to stay tuned for tomorrow's video so that you know whether we will be streaming or not. I hope to, but if you like and subscribe, the chances of me streaming go up, because unfortunately Josh will not be able to make it. But we will be back for the Panthers game as a duo next Sunday, so make sure to stay tuned for that one as well. But now we need to get into our main story of the day, which is the Rams need to fix this problem, and I believe they can this week against the Bucs. And this story is from Rams Wire, which we will be getting into right now. And these are key matchups for this Rams-Bucs game, by the way, just to let everyone know. Wide receiver Davante Adams versus the Bucs outside cornerbacks. Jamel Dean is out for Sunday's game, which will thrust Benjamin Morrison into a bigger role on the outside for the second straight week. He and Zion McCollum will be tasked with covering Adams, which is almost impossible in the red zone, especially for a rookie as inexperienced as Morrison. Yeah, this is definitely key. And the thing that needs to be fixed about this is the Stafford-Adams connection. Last week against the Seahawks, Adams only had one catch for 1 yard. Yes, it was a touchdown. But outside of that, they couldn't really connect on many passes at all, actually. If we look at the box score of that game, as we get that pulled up for you, it was definitely really telling that the Rams, who had been so good on offense, just weren't really able to get anything going at all. As for Davante, he had one catch on 8 targets. It's not good. It's not good. The connection has to be better. The Niners game, the Saints game, the Jags game, the connection looked really good, which is why I do believe this is not a huge deal, that I think it will get fixed. It was one bad game, but it is something that needs to be talked about. It's why Stafford and Adams are on the thumbnail of this video, that this is something that has to get fixed, because you're going on that playoff race, playoff stretch right now. Again, you won the game, so it doesn't really matter, but again, you want to be able to win in multiple ways, which the Rams showed in that game, but not necessarily with this connection working, which is going to be key. Actually, Benjamin Morrison is also questionable for this game with a hamstring injury. Jamel Dean obviously out with a hip. Jamel Dean's been a Buck for years. He's a very, very solid cornerback in the NFL. And for Morrison being a rookie, obviously you want the challenge, but he is questionable with a hamstring injury. Jamel Dean out with a hip. So if Morrison is out as well, Zion McCollum's going to be in a pretty interesting spot trying to cover Davante Adams, who does lead the NFL with 10 touchdown receptions. And if it's only Zion McCollum who's really your only healthy key corner, that's not great. Going against not only Davante, but Puka. I would expect Terrence Ferguson and the tight ends to be more involved in this game plan. I get corners aren't necessarily on tight ends, but for the Bucs, you could have a serious problem on your hands, and this could be a huge get-right game for the Stafford-Adams connection. And this is a mismatch the Rams have to take advantage of, and one they're almost certain to target often. Looking for Adams and Matthew Stafford to get on the same page after a poor showing last week. Yeah, I do agree. I expect them to get back on the same page. I was going through titles for this video, and I went with fixing the problem because I believe this is a very fixable problem. I think it's very, very solvable in this game. But if we look at Davante throughout the entire season, and we go back to the Niners game too, he had 6 catches for 77 yards and a touchdown, 12.8 yards per catch. So definitely a solid game there. I expect more of that type of performance as the season goes on from them, not just in this game, but throughout the rest of the year and in the playoffs. On the season, Davante has 86 targets, 43 catches, 569 yards, and 10 touchdowns, 13.2 average yards per catch. But if you look at the stat, he's only caught 50% of his targets. Now, I raised this up. This is an estimate to around 65% because I'm not counting throwaways. If Stafford's running away from pressure and throws out of bounds, it's not on Davante. He's not trying to catch that ball, so those ones aren't on him. But of ones he could have caught, let's just estimate again. It's an estimate of around 65-ish% were in the general catchable radius. That's still not great. You want that closer to around 75. Again, Adams has some drops, so the drops are not on Matthew Stafford, but still, this connection It was really good over those last 3 games before Seattle. I think Seattle was just an elite defense, and the Bucs, unfortunately, with all their injuries on both sides of the ball, are not an elite defense right now, especially in the secondary with all of these cornerback injuries, especially if Morrison does not play, that they're going to have a real problem covering Davante, which means the Rams, I have a strong feeling, will be able to fix this problem. Comment down below right now whether you think they can fix this problem in this game as well, because I think this is a get-right game. And I think you're going into games, and yes, the Panthers have J.C. Horn, but that's not great. And we know the Cardinals' defense isn't good. So definitely 2 games where, coming up after this one too, that you can have a really nice connection building between Stafford and Davante. And the second matchup is center Coleman Shelton versus nose tackle Vita Vea. Vea is a handful for any center with his sheer size and power on the interior. He's one of the Buccaneers' top defenders, ranking second on the team with 30 total pressures despite being a nose tackle. I think the one thing we need to know about Vita Vea is just he is a mammoth of a human being in the best way possible, that I feel like it's almost unblockable just because of his sheer size. He doesn't really have to use too much technique. Yeah, Vita Vea, we probably should double him a few times throughout the game, especially on third downs, as we know Todd Bowles is going to dial up that pressure. Vita Vea is going to be part of that. So it's going to be key that Coleman Shelton is able to block him, hopefully with some help. Even a guy like Warren McClendon, I'm sure they're going to line up Vita Vea across all different parts of that O-line to make sure he's not seeing the same person multiple times. So with Todd Bowles, his complicated defensive line schemes that he runs, so going to be key that the Rams can block Vita Vea. And he's stout against the run too, which means Coleman Shelton and the Rams guards may need to double him to create running lanes for Kyren Williams and Blake Corum. Yeah, Vita Vea is one of the best overall D linemen in football when it comes to being versatile. Again, because of his size, he can't necessarily play every single snap, but when he's out there, he wrecks the game if you do not stop him. He's going to be a key for this Bucs defense, one of the few healthy guys up front there that are going to try to make an impact against this powerful Rams offense. And the third matchup is cornerback Emmanuel Forbes Jr. versus wide receiver Emeka Egbuka. Egbuka plays in the slot and on the outside, but he's lined up on the boundary more often in recent weeks. Forbes is playing with a ton of confidence at the moment after helping lock down JSN last week and recording picks in each of the previous 2 games, but Egbuka won't be an easy coverage assignment either. No, Egbuka is shown to be one of the best offensive rookies up there with Tyler Warren for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Both those guys very deserving. And Egbuka is just such a versatile player that when the Bucs first took him, I was like, they already have Jalen McMillan, you got Evans, you got Godwin coming back, but with all the injuries, they needed a wide receiver, and Emeka Egbuka has stepped up and then some for this Bucs team. I'm only going to give him credit because he deserves it. It's very difficult coming into any sports league as a rookie and balling, and Emeka Egbuka's done just that. He's been balling. He's a key reason why the Bucs were able to start off so hot. In the games he missed with that hamstring injury a few weeks ago, those couple games, you definitely could tell that they were missing him. So this is going to be a team effort, I think, to cover Egbuka, but Emmanuel Forbes, because of his length, I think is going to be the key. He did a pretty decent job on JSN, and I wouldn't be surprised if he can do a good job as well on Emeka Egbuka. Again, Baker Mayfield is not going to turn into a pumpkin like Sam Darnold, so you're not going to be getting the kind of free interceptions, free PBUs. He's going to make better throws. So it is going to be key that Forbes is able to stick with Egbuka in coverage. And between Forbes, Kobe Durant, and Darius Williams, a lot of attention will be on Egbuka when the Bucs have the ball. Yes, I agree. It will be a team effort there for sure. And our fourth matchup is outside linebacker Byron Young versus right tackle Luke Goedeke. A lot will be made about the matchup between Jared Verse and Tristan Wirfs, but the battle of Young versus Goedeke on the other side is equally important. Though Young's sack numbers have tapered off a little bit recently, he's still generating pressure at a high rate, recording at least 4 pressures in 7 of his last 8 games, including the last 2. Baker Mayfield has enough athleticism and mobility that when he escapes the pocket, he can make plays with his legs or extend plays to hit big throws downfield. Young and Verse must keep him contained. Yes, they do. They need to make sure that they keep him inside the pocket, because Baker, he's a sneaky runner. I feel like Baker and Herbert are kind of similar in that you don't think they're runners, but they can run at a pretty decent rate when they need to, so you got to kind of keep that in mind too. And Baker's good at escaping out of the pocket and making plays. You're going to need Young. You're going to need Verse. Yeah, Goedeke, he's a guy also coming off of some injuries, but he is healthy. So it's Tristan Wirfs off the injury report. That's going to be a fun matchup to watch, him versus Jared Verse. So definitely going to be interesting here. I do think Goedeke's up for the task, but if Byron Young can just overpower him. He had like 4 sacks those first 3 weeks, and since he's had 5, he's still in the top 6 overall with 9, Byron Young. So again, the sack number isn't everything, but as Josh and I have been saying these last couple weeks, we want the Rams D-line to finish more of those pressures. Yes, they lead to incompletions. Sam Darnold, they let to picks. So if they lead in interceptions, then fair, but also those sacks to get, especially this offense with Baker being motivated. He's talked about how this team needs some motivation. And this is a big game for the Bucs because the Panthers are surprisingly right in this division. If the Panthers beat the Niners Monday night and the Bucs lose, the Panthers take first place in the division. The Bucs are seeing this division slip away when it really shouldn't. Yes, I know they've had all these injuries. If the Bucs are healthy, this division's not even close. But still, this is a must-win game for the Bucs, so you know they're going to come out here with firing on all cylinders, hopefully for their fan base. And the last matchup is running back Kyren Williams versus linebacker Davante David. David has long been a playmaker at the linebacker position for the Bucs, helping Tampa Bay rank in the top 10 in rushing yards allowed and 15th in yards per carry allowed. The Buccaneers are susceptible to allowing running backs to produce in the passing game, giving up a league-high 59.6 receiving yards per game to opposing running backs. Yeah, that's an interesting stat, especially because Kyren's been so good in the receiving game, having around 5 receiving touchdowns on the year, which is definitely going to be key for Matthew Stafford. Again, the run game, I talked about in my last video. If you missed it, go watch it from yesterday, where I had Blake Corum as a guy who really needed to step up there because I think Kyren will be used more as a pass catcher in this game and a runner. He's going to be a key reason as to why. But if Blake Corum can get the run game going with Kyren, you can really see Kyren have some, big gains here and have an overall very, very solid game. And Davante David, by the way, shout out to Davante David, bro. He's been balling since the Jameis Winston days, man. I mean, Hall of Famer? He's pretty close to Hall of Famer, man. Comment down below if you think Davante David's Hall of Famer, because in my opinion, it's close. I don't know his stats on the top of my head. I know he has the Super Bowl. I know he's got all pros, Pro Bowls. I need to look at his overall stats on the top of my head. So I know that, but he's a Bucs legend, man. He's been doing it for a long time. Shout out to him, but Kyren Williams is going to outplay you in this game. And that could give Williams an opportunity to contribute as a receiver and make a big play or two in the pass game. Yes, I totally agree. And comment down below right now, what is one matchup that you're looking forward to in this Rams-Bucs game? To me, I do think it's Davante versus the corners. And obviously, the Verse versus Wirfs matchup as well is going to be key and fun to watch because two of the best players at their positions when healthy. And it's nice to see Jared Verse and Tristan Wirfs, more importantly, because he's been injured, fully healthy. And now we have to get to our second story of today, which is a couple of keys to victory as a team overall from Turf Show Times, which we will be getting into right now. And the main one is to pressure Baker Mayfield. The Rams are playing a better version of Sam Darnold when they take on the Buccaneers on Sunday. Early in the season, Mayfield was firmly in the MVP conversation. However, with the offensive line injuries, the lack of a consistent run game, and injuries to the wide receivers, Mayfield has struggled. Unlike Darnold, Mayfield has the ability to create out of structure, but he is still susceptible to missing throws. That isn't going to result in interceptions like Darnold, but Mayfield has been sacked 20 times this season. He also ranks third in fumbles with 7. If the Rams can lock down on the back end and get Mayfield to hold the ball, Jared Verse and Byron Young may be able to get to Mayfield and force a fumble or get a sack. Again, Mayfield has the ability to make plays when scrambling, but if the Rams pass rush can get to him to play a bit chaotically, chaotic things will happen. Yeah, I do agree. Again, Baker, the fumbling the interceptions have gone way down, and he's kind of replaced that with the fumbling. I know he had the most turnovers of any quarterback last year overall, also led in touchdowns, but the interceptions went down, fumbles kind of stayed at a similar rate. I believe even went a little bit higher. I also think Braden Fisk, again, I call Braden Fisk having a good game against the Saints. I could see it happening here as a guy that Todd Bowles and that offense, I should say, don't necessarily plan for as a main guy, because Verse and Byron Young and Kobe Turner and Puka Nacua are kind of planning for, especially Puka Nacua, because the Bucs need any semblance of a run game with Bucky Irving still out. Because if the run game can't get going, if Sean Tucker, who was awesome last week against the Bills, if he doesn't have a similar game like that, again, I'm going to say it every Bucs video, I'm not a Rachaad White guy, so I don't think he's going to be doing anything for you. And yeah, if the Rams can pressure Baker, force him into some bad throws, he can throw an interception. It's not going to be like Darnold where you're going to be handed out interceptions like it's Halloween candy in big games, but for Baker Mayfield, if the Rams do get to him, I do agree that they can force some turnovers, especially Nate Landman, who is playing, and he had that back injury earlier in the week, but he is going into play, so he's going to be a guy as well who may be used to pressure the quarterback a little bit here too, and maybe the Rams take a page out of Todd Bowles' book and blitz a little bit more. And the other thing is get back to 13 personnel. For the first time since the Rams introduced 13 personnel against the Jacksonville Jaguars, the offense struggled with it last week. A lot of that was because the Seahawks were able to match it out of nickel due to the personnel they have on that side of the ball. However, that is not the case for the Buccaneers. Even with Tyler Higbee going on injured reserve, the Rams should be able to get into heavier personnel with multiple tight ends. Davis Allen, Terrence Ferguson, and Colby Parkinson have all played well. Yes, they have. Again, the Seahawks thing, chalking it up to their personnel and their defense for a bit of a lackluster offensive game. I do think next time they play, the Rams will have some more adjustments. But yeah, heading into this one with all of their injuries, Hassan Reddick as well being out for the Buccaneers, as I mentioned. Yeah, again, the safeties, Antoine Winfield may have a shot against these guys because Antoine Winfield's just been a dog ever since he got into the league. But besides that, you don't really fear a lot of guys in coverage right now for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I think a lot of these tight ends can get open down the middle kind of easily if they're able to do that. And obviously, you're going to need some extra blockers on Vita Vea, so I would not be surprised if these guys also end up helping block Vita Vea a little bit and the rest of this pass rush from the blitz. 2 of them stay to block, 1 of them, and you kind of rotate. I think all 3 of these guys are due for bounce-back games as well. And this is also where the Rams should be able to exploit the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are bottom 10 in EPA per dropback out of their base defense. Against 12 personnel, they've allowed 0.4 EPA per dropback, which ranks 31st. They are allowing 6.2 yards per play out of their base defense, which is the most in the NFL, and 9.2 net yards per pass, which is 31st. The Buccaneers secondary, when in their base defense, is allowing a 19.4 explosive pass rate. To put it simply, the Rams should be able to exploit the second-level defenders. Servokia Dennis, I hope I said that name right, ranks 90th out of 93 linebackers in coverage, while Lavonte David is also outside the top 15 PFF coverage grades. The Rams should be able to take advantage of the Buccaneers linebackers in the pass game, especially in base personnel, and Todd Bowles' tendency has been to match heavy personnel with base. Yeah, I do agree. Again, Hassan Reddick would help this out a lot, but unfortunately he is injured. And Lavonte David is just not the same Lavonte David as he was when they were making the Super Bowl. He was still kind of in his prime. David's still very good. Again, Lavonte David's probably my favorite Buck of all time, besides Jameis, obviously. But definitely going to be an interesting matchup here with this 13 personnel and base defense that if the Rams just keep on running it, Todd Bowles is going to have to make an adjustment. The knock on Todd Bowles, he does struggle to make adjustments. I wouldn't be surprised if that is the case here again because he sticks to what he likes. The blitzing, I think, could be an issue. Not to lead to interceptions, but to lead to sacks and throwaways, which could put the Rams behind the sticks. But really, besides that, I don't see a way that in the run game, too, we'll see how they're able to run the ball. But in the pass game, I could see this being a huge get-right game for Stafford's MVP case as well. Davante, Puka's going to keep being Puka, and Terrence Ferguson getting back into the game plan. I really see this being a nice bounce back for every single Rams pass catcher here, as well as Matthew Stafford. And also, comment down below what you think of these 2 keys to victory. The article does have 3 other keys to victory, because it's 5 keys to victory on Turf Showtime. So if you're interested, after this video, to read that whole article, you can go on to turfshowtimes.com, look up 5 keys to victory, and you should be able to find this article posted today. Comment down below your biggest key. Mine is the getting back to the 13 personnel. I think the pressure is going to come, but the 13 personnel, I want to see Sean McVay go back to it and see how he can adjust. We do have some quick injury updates. Obviously, Nate Landman is off of the injured list, and he will play. Xavier Smith is still questionable with a concussion. He has cleared protocol, but Sean McVay did say today that they wanted to monitor him a little bit more, and they're going to do what's best for him. And the Tutu Atwell as well should be back next week against the Panthers, so it'll be nice to have a full receiving core. And Nikello Witherspoon's getting closer to his 21-day return to play window being open. Would not be surprised if he's back for the Cardinals/Lions game. That's not been confirmed yet, but we expect that happening soon. And for the Buccaneers, Sterling Shepard will play, as will Puka. Goblin's questionable, so he is going to be back soon. No Bucky Irving for the Bucs either. As I said, Morrison is questionable as well. So the Bucs still dealing with so many injuries. But that is all for this episode of Rams Digest. Make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. We're on the road to 5K, 5,000 subscribers. So if you want to be part of that journey right now, make sure to hit that sub button and click that notification bell. Click all so you get notified and never miss whenever we post our daily new Rams Digest video content pieces covering all things Rams. Make sure to leave a like on this video right now for Week 9 being underway. And if you want me to stream the game on Sunday, make sure to leave a like for that as well. And comment down below right now, what is your biggest matchup to watch in this game? For me, it is Davante Adams, as I think that will be fixed. The chemistry issue that existed last week will not be a problem for this game and beyond. And the versus Tristan Wirfs matchup, I think, will also be great. Comment down below your team key to victory. For me, I agree. It is 12-person. It is the 12/13 personnel. And also, comment down below what you think of all these injuries. It's just unfortunate, and hopefully everyone who is questionable is able to play for both teams, as I want to see this game with as many healthy players as possible. And I've been your host, Joshua Finehirsh, as always. Thank you very much for watching another episode of Rams Digest. I'll see you soon for another one. I hope you enjoyed it, and have a great rest of your day, and start to your weekend.